Many that got to experience vinyl records will tell you that they remember it with nostalgia. While vinyl records may not be as visible as they were in the 1970s and 1980s, there are some people fighting day and night to ensure that they stay on the Kenyan streets. Timothy Otieno walked us down memory lane.
Welcome to the 1980s, 1987 to be specific. And back then, a young James Rugami has just opened this shop at Kenyatta Market near Nairobi's high-rise estate. Business is booming and Kenyans are streaming in to buy themselves records they love. Diana Ross, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, George Benson, Gladys Knight and the Peeps, you name it. 80s swag and its accompanying music is at its peak. Fast forward to 3 decades later, and Rugami is a man struggling to remain true to his childhood roots.
I got music from the 80s, 90s, and 2000.
In a world overtaken by CD players, flash discs, and modern-day music systems. Rugami is one of the few remaining vinyl sellers in the entire East African region. His shop still remains open, even though customers do not stream in large numbers as they used to.
You can't compare the production of vinyl records and this other stuff people play these days. Its quality is superior. That's why I won't touch those other things.
Across town at the Kengele's Club in Karen, DJ Sam the Digger is hard at work. Sam is among a crop of few DJs in town who can still do their mixes using purely a system of vinyl records.
I grew up listening to vinyl. My neighbors all the time were listening to vinyl. So growing up, later on, I picked up on it because it sort of brought back memories and I was interested in.
His shows are usually a house full. When you're among the rare group of people who still use old school methods of DJing, you tend to attract crowds, he admits.
Hizo ma hip hop nini ma rap nini na ma techno nini hizo zitapotea. Karibu zikupotee. Kusema kweli. Hizo vijana wa siku hizi ndio watoto ndio wa siku hizi ndio wanazipenda hizo. Lakini kama wote au vijana pia watarudia old school.
And he may be right. The vintage records and music are in a way slowly making their way into the hearts of a younger group of people. Andrew Waithaka is barely in his early 20s and is already flirting with the idea of becoming a full-blown vinyl music enthusiast.
I make sure I come here every Saturday and I try and sort and dig as much vinyl as I can find, and I sample the music here and I'm appreciating.
Rugami's music shop, although lackluster on the outside, beams with the packed tunes of music history inside. With all sorts of records lining up on these shelves waiting to be played.
Once the stylus hits the record, it's like it commands you, don't dare touch me more till I'm done.
From the classic tunes of Super Mazembe to the well-known Lulu's Band to a little bit of Musyoki Mutaiti and not forgetting Opio Kek Oriedo.
Everybody's mum and dad, somewhere in their house, especially the middle classes, somewhere in their house, mums and dads were listening to vinyl. Whether that was, I don't know, Billy Abel or Franco or, I don't know, Tabbouleh, or whether it was the Staple Singers or Marvin Gaye or jazz music. Kenya's got a very rich history of music anyway.
And that rich history of music is what James Rugami is hoping to pass on to the next generation. He sells his records for anything between 100 to 5,000 shillings, depending on the rarity of the piece. For now, though, his shop remains open, always willing to usher in his next customer with some cool, old-school melody. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
The struggle for Kenya's liberation is one that was marked with sacrifices, tears, and pain. It is important for that journey to be documented for the sake of the younger generation who need to understand their history. The story of the struggle is told in pictures at Nyeri's 93-year-old Mau Mau Museum located in Ruringu. Carol Nderi visited the museum.
Preservation of culture is an important aspect in upholding tradition and a people's way of life. The Nyeri Museum, located in Ruringu, is an embodiment of this preservation. Though bereft of artifacts that would ordinarily characterize a standard museum, as one would hope to see much more here, it makes up for it by having an impressive display of mounted pictures that takes visitors down the memory lane that has defined Kenya's past. The array of pictures denotes Kenya's dark colonial era, where natives had no or little say in the management of their own country and were often captured and locked up in concentration camps. There is also a display of pictures of Mau Mau war veterans who sacrificed a lot to free Kenya from the yoke of colonialism. The pictures go on to feature Kenya post-independence and the struggles and milestones attained, such as self-rule with the different regimes in place, to the near-past events such as the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution. This building is 93 years old, almost a century old. The curator, Anthony Maina, says it was constructed in 1924 by the British colonial government.
This building was built in the year 1924. It's over 90 years old now. And it started as a local native court, as well as the local native council, which was established in the year 1925, the local native council.
Between 1924 and 1952, it was used as a native court where civil cases would be tried by native court judges. Civil cases such as those involving death and pregnancies were tried here. However, after the state of emergency was declared in 1952, it was upgraded to handle cases involving captured Mau Mau suspects, such as those found partaking in oaths. If found guilty of being Mau Mau fighters, they would be convicted here.
When Kenya became a British colony, the British saw it very primitive, whatever the judicial system was being administered to the natives. And so they wanted to bring their judicial system to this colony. And so that's why they built this court. As well as they also established the local native council, and all the area chiefs, the prominent chiefs in Nyeri, like Wambuga Madangani, Chief Nderi, Chief Mohoya, among others, used to meet here for their administrative purposes under the watchful eye of a colonial district commissioner.
Also, the local native council used to meet here up to 1961 when the Nyeri County Assembly was contracted and the meetings moved there. The Mau Mau Veterans Association has a small office within the premises and the veterans often meet here, some to while their time away during the sunset years. Maina amuses us by telling us that some of the veterans mistake him for a government agent and often demand compensation and answers from him when they find him at the museum. The land adjacent to the museum is also where late President Jomo Kenyatta met up with Mau Mau fighters. It is on this site here in Ruringu where the founding father, the late President Jomo Kenyatta, met Mau Mau fighters in 1952, where he urged them to stay strong and fight on. What is specifically asked of them? This is what he said. In translation, he asked, "If I hold the horns of the beast, will you persevere the kicks?" Meaning that if you let me handle the leadership part of it, will you stay in the forest and help me kick out the colonialists? And they answered in the affirmative. Therefore, this is quite a significant spot in Kenya's history of liberating the country from the yoke of colonialism. The Rurengo Stadium is where the same fighters surrendered their guns to the then Prime Minister Jomo Kenyatta on December 16, 1963, 4 days after independence. Carol Nderi, KTN News, Nyeri County.
Now, this next story made many sing and hum along. It is the story of Samson Kule, who started singing in the streets of Nairobi 2 years ago. Now, it has become his job. KTN's Caroline B. spent some time with this talented singer.
The Nairobi CBD. The evening twilight has set in, and after a long and tiresome day, it is time for the city to rest. It is a few minutes to 7 p.m. And for Ugandan-born Samson Kule, his day has just begun. Samson is a street musician, a craft he mastered since moving to Kenya in 2015. And as routine dictates, he sets up his musical equipment ready to entertain the town. Once all is set, he gets down to business. He has mastered several Grammy Award-winning songs, all contained in this playlist of 91 songs. 5 minutes after his setup, fans start crowding to listen to him sing. They are given an opportunity to select a song of their choice, to which the 28-year-old sings. They join in.
There are very many ways you can do something. Someone, you can record a song. If you have good capital, you go and shoot a video. You start displaying it on televisions. But me, myself, and street is already my television. So I have to sing my song on my television because street itself is my television.
So striking is Samson's job that it attracts fans of all ages. Some break into dance, and those in a hurry stop for a few minutes before proceeding with their journey.
Samson is a blessing, actually. Most of the time I come from work and maybe I'm stressed, I have some alone. But when I pass by, it's like a blessing. Not today, I've always passed by, and before I go to my parking, I have to pass by and sing with him or I listen to his songs.
My youth wengi ambao wako kwenye mtaani, wengine wanasema hakuna kazi. Ile tu inapaswa ni kila mtu ako na talent yake. Ni kutoka tu na kurealize, kujielewa uko na mwito gani wewe kama wewe na uchukue hatua.
In his yesteryears, Samson sold fruits in Western Uganda. His formal education ended after only 3 weeks in high school, but his passion for music goes on.
You know, I used to work at a certain revenue office, just selling fruits around there. And when I'm sitting down, I'm always reading my songs. And even if I'm in a car, I'm always reading my songs. Even if I'm almost sleeping, I'm reading my songs. So every time I read songs, there is no time that I will sit that I'm settling for a song. I keep reading and listening.
Samson has a list of songs that he's crammed over the years, and this is the current playlist for 2017. Some of the musicians in his list include John Denver, Kenny Rogers, the likes of Adele, Ed Sheeran, Chris Brown, Westlife. Well, it's actually a whole list of musicians. We have Sauti Sol. There are also songs which he's recorded by himself, and they're in this list. We have Bob Marley and Akon. Well, it's so many musicians who are here. And I'm just going to request him actually to sing one song. We are going to do it together. And since I croak, I won't sing much of it, maybe just the chorus.
Islands on the stream, that is what we are. No one in between. How can we be wrong? Sail away with me.
He plans to churn out his own music in future.
By the end of next year, I wish to have completed one album of more than 12 songs. Then I can start shooting it in the process of the year.
He uses the proceeds from his job to further his talent in a music school in the city. After the guitar, he wants to learn to play a piano. On a good day, he makes close to 3,000 shillings. The least is around 500 shillings. But on this day, he has to cut short his 4-hour performance. Rain is coming.
I chose international songs because Kenya is at an international level. Actually, Kenya, I don't take Kenya as, Nairobi as Kenya. Now I take Nairobi as an international city. So that's why I chose that international music. Go so far.
Apart from starting his own band, he's optimistic of an invitation to perform in prestigious celebrations. He draws his inspiration from Jamaican icon Bob Marley. Caroline B., KTN News.
In the ancient days, our ancestors used to seek refuge in caves to avoid the vagaries of tough weather and wild animals. But one professor, Chap Kisimba, has defied modern standards of living by transforming a cave in Trans Nzoia into a towering shelter. Elvis Kosgei took us there.
For many years. So
the hilly terrain of Machewa area, a native home of a distinguished anthropologist and archaeologist professor, was found a safe haven in an isolated hill. Hard stone pebbles hung loose at the foot of the rocky place, inhabited by the scholar, tells you of a narrative of science, of discovery, and untold stories of the day. Climbing upstairs from the foot of the hill gives you a vivid view of how stones have been turned into gold. The professor created an earthwork mound on the lip of the cliff and then fortified the exterior walls with elaborate dry stonework.
The best temperature in which you can get the best sleep is 65 degrees Celsius. So at night, this house, 12 months a year, in the evening, it's 65 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 15 degrees Celsius. So when you go to this house, when you sleep like a baby, you wake up very much refreshed. It doesn't matter whether it's in February, the hottest month of the year, or it's in May, or in June, the coldest month of the year. It's constant.
The entrance, instead of leading straight in, first runs along a narrow passageway outside of the building.
And I think that if we Kenyans, no matter how many we are, can develop ways of feeding ourselves and sustaining our economy without having to borrow so much, I think that we will create the best nation on earth. Our climate is really good, but its time is up. We are dealing with global warming. We have cut down we have lost more than 90% of the natural forest in this country.
There is also what appears to be a secret back door, something that serves as his security.
In fact, wazazi wangu walinicheka wasema, sasa huyu vipi bana? Watu hununua mashamba, yeye anakuja kununua jiwe. Hawakufurahi. Kwa waliona huku ni kupoteza pesa.
Inside the place, Swahili artifacts and furniture dot the house.
Hawakutupa lugha peke yao, lakini pia wamekupa civilization ambao sisi kama Waafrika mpaka sasa lazima tujivunie. Sasa kitu ambacho nimejifunza kutoka kwa Waswahili ni mambo ya ujenzi na plumbing. Kwa miaka zaidi ya 1400 Waswahili wamekuwa na indoor plumbing.
Mushensho, an anthropologist who studies in the United States of America, came all the way to Machewa with his lecturer to discover more.
Came to Kenya and see something actually built on the stones actually impressed me, because in China we only live in the caves. So basically you find a cave and you just build a wall on the cave and then you just live inside the cave. But here you actually build the house to part of the environment.
Mushen compares Machewa area to China.
In China, the pollution is very bad. Even before that, a lot of places, they already been, there's no trees, there's a lot of desert.
Kusimba now wants historians and archaeologists to face up to the legacy of slavery before 19th century. After turning rocks into gold, Professor Kusimba has now bigger plans to expand his enterprise that will serve the next generation. Elvis Kosgei, KTN News, Machewa area, Trans Nzoia County.
Stories that come out of Nairobi's informal settlement areas are often about tragedy, conflict and scarcity. But here now is a story on beauty, courage and ambition as young people in Kibra strutted it out during a beauty pageant meant to promote peace.
There were 19 contestants strutting their way across the catwalk in the competition that was attended by over 100 Kibra residents. Some are working professionals, others graduates and students. Each contestant was given time to explain why he or she was fit for the position.
God-fearing, self-spoken individual filled with character.
Different categories were showcased, including vintage and traditional wear. Upcoming artists also had a chance to showcase their talent in music and spoken word. 2016 Mr. Kibra Hussein Zafar and Miss Kibra Frisco Jipkemei also graced the stage for the last time and gave their experience and lessons over the past year. They were both involved in big projects during their reign.
Vijana wenzangu ambao tuko katika rika moja tukaona kwa kuhimiza tu kwa kuhimiza amani na hakuna kitu ambacho wafanya itakuwa haisaidii. Sasa kwa vile katika mtaa wangu tukaanza kikundi cha kukusanya taka.
My crown has really made me to for youths like change their mindset, mostly girls. And I can mention a school like Damside Preparatory School, which is just next to Jamhuri. Actually, after winning the crown, I went there. I started teaching them, just volunteering. I saw the girls and I was like, let me just help them in teaching them like health, sexual health, hygienic, something like that.
Young children were also not left out. Hope Otieno shared her piece of spoken word.
Kenya, tudumisha amani, hashtag tusibleed, no walid, hashtag vote Kenya, vote peace.
After all the beauty, glamour and talent, winners had to be crowned. Daniel Owino Okoth and Happiness Musha won the 2017 Mr. and Miss Kibra. They later graced the runaway right inside the KTN News studios to share their joy and vision with the world far and beyond Kibra.
90% of youths hapa Kenya na nitazidi kusema wako unemployed, but wanaweza make bana history kama wase Octopizo hivi, unaelewa, Pizo Dizo through their talent, unaelewa, hiyo ni ball, wanaweza kuwa kama Mariga, unaelewa.
I am a very good example of something good that came from Kibera, and there are so many ladies outside there. There are so many talents in Kibera that they are not noticed in the world.
According to one of the organizers, Steven Souza, the event brings the Kibera people together, especially after the August 8th election.
So the need for today was to actually bring people together. We were trying to show them, you're not a Kamba, you're not a Luo, you're not a Kikuyu. Come on, you're a Kenyan. And Kenyans live together, they love each other, and they live in peace.
This year's beauty pageant was held at Undugu grounds. Mr. and Miss Kibra started over 10 years ago to promote unity and equip young people with leadership skills. The event was organized by Amani Kenya that seeks to empower the youth by taking them under trainings, for example, the art of public speaking and entrepreneurship. Fathiya Mohammed Noor, KTN News.